Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Office Hours with Jess. So this week, I'm doing something a little fun and doing my version of Netflix's Get Smart with Money. So I recently saw this Netflix special and started watching it. And I felt like the advice they were giving was nothing that I didn't already do or consider as a PhD student. So I thought I would again create sort of the office hours with the Jess edition of this Netflix show and walk you all through some of what I do to make it work on my PhD stipend, which I'm sure you all know is not a lot, and I'm about to show you. So this is my monthly budget. I'm being so transparent and just showing you all how much my stipend is. So here at Harvard, we do get $3,385 every month, being a fourth year PhD student. With taxes, I don't know how accurate this is because we don't get our taxes taken out of our paychecks, which is a whole nother dilemma that I'm not happy with. So I roughly am saying that about 15%, and that's me being conservative. So about $500 gets taken out from that. And then I spend $1,500 roughly on rent, which I know sounds like a lot, but I do live in Boston, one of the most expensive cities in the US. And I actually live in Harvard subsidized housing, and that rent includes my utilities and Wi-Fi and everything too. So this is actually considered quite a steal for where I'm at. So after taking out, again, sort of the big things, what I have left over is about $1,300 to use on food, transportation, the goal to put some money away in savings, and then any like miscellaneous expenses that come up, which always happen, like things happen. Like I lost my wallet earlier this month and had to apply for a new driver's license, and that had a fee with it. So you just never know what's going to happen. And you also still want to have fun and be able to, like, if you want to go to a show or a concert or like hang out with your friend, I don't know, go to an event, like, it's okay to spend money on that too. But again, that's not a lot of money left over, especially in a city like Boston, where, you go out and you order a drink and it's like almost $20. So again, high cost of living here. So how do I make it work? This is my secret sauce, I guess, of how I save my money. A lot of secret sauces, actually. So in the Netflix show, it does talk about the big three that you spend your money on, which is rent, food, and transportation. So quickly, I'll walk through rent. There's not really much I can say here. This is really hard to control. And I don't want to say like, oh yeah, go live in a house with like 20 people and share one bathroom, because your mental health matters. I think living alone or living with less people is good if that's what you need. So this is, again, something that is harder to control, and I won't comment on too much. But if you can find ways to save money on rent, like what I did, which is find, put myself in a lottery for Harvard housing, find ways to like do things like that. Food, on the other hand, I think is much easier to control. So this is what I do. I've already, discussed with you on my other videos about how I have some strange eating habits already. But a couple of other things I do to save money is, one, I generally only eat out or get takeout when I'm with my friends. Like very rarely will I be like, okay, I'm like too lazy to heat up my own food or cook my own food. Like I'm just going to order like DoorDash. Like I only save like eating at restaurants or outside prep food for like events or like when I'm with friends and social events. And that really helps because eating out really adds up very quickly. I also am really big on this, but I price compare my groceries. This is definitely something that takes a little bit more effort. But what I basically do is I figure out, okay, what are the kind of big staples that I have in my diet, like coffee, meat, certain vegetables. And then I look up, or I don't like look up, but I basically go shopping and I remember, okay, Trader Joe's has like the cheapest bananas. So I'm only going to go to Trader Joe's for bananas. Target has like the cheapest like lunch meat, so when I want to make my like lunches, like I'm going to go to Target and then get that. So I do that kind of price comparing. It's not like down to the cent, but I just try to generally buy certain items at certain stores where I know it is the most cost effective. Another big thing is I do not buy in bulk unless it's an item that I absolutely know I will finish using within like a few weeks. I'm not someone who will go to Costco and buy 100 toothbrushes because they're on sale. This is something that Harry does that drives me up the wall, but I am someone who is definitely more of like, don't buy more than you can use in like your foreseeable future, because you never know what's going to happen. And like, you might stop using that item that you just bought a ton of, or you might have to move and like throw things away. I don't know. It's just, for me, I think better to just buy things as you need them. Unless again, you for sure know, or it's like actually cheaper to buy more than it is to buy less. I also Squirrel, or which is my kind of sneaky way of saying that I take a lot of extra free food and items at events. This is a photo. I'm almost embarrassed to show this, of when my parents and I stayed at a hotel over the summer, and they had like free breakfast. I just basically went and like grabbed as much food as I possibly could for my parents. So this is just something I tend to do. So you'll sometimes see me on campus always being the one who like takes home like the leftover brownies and pizza. Even though I can't eat it, I just give it to Harry. So that's just another thing I do, and it does add up, the dollars here and there that you're saving. All right, the last of the big three, transportation. So I love walking. Get those steps in. I will have to say that unless if the distance is less than 3 miles wherever I'm trying to go, and it's not actively raining or snowing, I will walk. And whether that's here in Boston or sometimes even in Irvine, if I just need to go to the grocery store to grab a few items, and it's less than, again, a 3 mile walk, I will do it. When walking or weather is not an option, I will take public transit as much as I can. So here in Boston, that's taking the T or the bus. We also have a free bus that runs from one school of mine, the School of Public Health, to the main Harvard campus, which I take a lot to go teach my fitness classes. And then when public transit isn't, enough, you do sometimes have to take Uber and Lyft. And I just try to avoid doing that as much as possible, especially with how expensive I feel like Uber and Lyft has become. But one trick that I have found to kind of avoid like unexpected surges is, if I know I'm going to take an Uber somewhere, I try to schedule it in advance if I can. Obviously, if I'm like coming home from something, you can't schedule the Uber, but when I'm going to a place where I have a definitive time, I always schedule it ahead to just make sure that I don't like open my app and it's like a crazy amount. And then, of course, like kind of with bigger picture, like traveling across the country or like walk to farther places where you need to take a flight, I always try to book flights as early as possible. And another big thing is I always pay for flexibility, because you just never know when your plans might change, and you never want to be stuck like with this plane ticket that you can't move, even though you bought it when it was like on sale for like dirt cheap. But then like you can't, like your plans suddenly have to change and you can't move them. So it's sometimes worth actually upgrading to that like like bottom level flight to get that ability to change your flight without getting like a fee tacked on. So these are the rest of my like miscellaneous tips that don't fall into the big three. This is another thing from the Netflix special, needing and loving versus wanting and liking. I totally operate on this. I definitely try not to buy things that I just want or like. Sometimes it gets to the point where I will like buy the same pair. Like I actually did this the other day, but I bought like 4 pairs of almost the exact same jeans and spent like an hour trying them on like multiple times to figure out which one of the 4 I absolutely wanted the most, and then return the rest. And that's the other thing. Don't feel bad about returning things. Like there's no reason keep something if it's not going to make you 100% happy, or if it doesn't 100% fit, or like fit your needs, like whatever it is. Like you want whatever you want to you or whatever you own and spend money purchasing to be something you absolutely love and will be excited about using, or you absolutely need because you've like run out of something. And you can watch my minimalism video for a little bit more tips around this topic. They also talk about passive income in that Netflix show. And I will say that I don't have any like active, well, what I consider passive income right now is my fitness teaching. So I think if you're able to turn a hobby or something that you already spend time doing into something that can generate some income, it doesn't have to be a lot. Like I don't get a lot of money teaching fitness, but like I am going to work out every day. So why not get paid while doing that? So it's actually been quite one of the best things that I think has happened to me, because now I don't have to spend extra time going to like thinking about like needing to work out. I just use my fitness classes that I teach and make money off of as my workouts that keep me going day to day. All right, this is probably my biggest tagline, and you'll hear me say this a lot. You don't get what you don't ask for. I am someone who is not ashamed of asking for something free, asking for a discount, complaining on Amazon, customer service, whatever it is. Just don't be afraid to ask for something. So generally, like what this means is whenever I'm like shopping somewhere, especially at like a retail store, I always ask if they do a student discount, because you just never know. And sometimes the answer is yes, and then you just suddenly got like 10 or 15% off your purchase. I always ask all the time if there's some kind of fee. I just like beg them to waive it and, give some sort of sob story like, oh, I'm a graduate student that's not making a lot of money, and this fee is going to really like impact my life. I've done this before, trying to move a flight where I didn't pay for the change, or where I didn't have the change option. And it worked. So again, you can, these fees are usually like arbitrary too. Like, oh yeah, we're going to charge you this much because you did this. Like you can usually someone can usually take that off. I always ask for free food when a restaurant messes up an order or something. This happened recently over the summer. I placed an order on an app at Urban Plates, which is like this fast casual chain in the West Coast. And they just like never, like the order just like never went through the system. And I was waiting like on the side and it was never ready. So they had to like put the order in for me specially. And then when they did that, I was like, well, can you like throw in a dessert or something for this inconvenience? And they gave me a slice of $7 cake, even though my order was only $10. So again, you never know what you can get by just asking. And then, of course, I always price match if possible, like especially at Target, they're really good at letting you price match. So if you can, that's also another thing you can ask for. Also, it is important to save your money and put some of it into investments. This is not my area of expertise, so I'm not going to comment on this too much, but I do have some money in the stock market and some like mutual funds. And I have noticed that, over just a couple of years that it's been in there, my money has grown a little bit, even with all of these ups and downs and recessions and COVID and everything. So definitely something you should look into and learn more about, but not something I'm going to teach you about. And that's the summary of my tips. So again, hopefully this is able to help you find ways, if you're a student, save some money, or if you're not a student just watching this, like just money saving tips in general. And now you don't have to go watch that Netflix special unless you want to.